Say one sentence online. Messi is overrated. Or Curry changed basketball more than LeBron. That is not a sports opinion anymore. That is a flare gun. Within minutes, strangers are not debating the game. They are defending their childhood, their taste, their masculinity, their entire personality. One missed shot becomes evidence. One trophy becomes a conspiracy. One sentence becomes a loyalty test. That is the first crack in the illusion of independent thinking. We tell ourselves, I just have my own opinion. But often the opinion is carrying something heavier. Identity, belonging, status, fear. People do not only protect opinions, they protect themselves through them. So this video is not really about Messi versus Ronaldo, Apple versus Android, or AI savior versus AI apocalypse. Those are costumes. The real question is, when you pick a side, are you thinking freely or defending a version of yourself? So why does a simple opinion feel like an attack on the self? To answer that, we need to break it down into 4 distinct layers. The first layer is self-identity. Jean-Paul Sartre had a famous idea. Existence precedes essence. To plain English, a chair comes with a purpose. A person does not. A chair is made to be sat on. Very clear. No identity crisis. Good for her. But a person builds a self through choices, failures, memories, and other people's eyes. Freedom sounds beautiful until it asks, so, who exactly are you? That question is exhausting, so we look for shortcuts. A camp gives you a ready-made outline. These are your people. Those are not. This is what smart people think. That is what embarrassing people think. Identity Starter Kit delivered. Positive identity is hard. You have to know your values, limits, contradictions, and blind spots. Negative identity is cheaper. I am not that fan, not that Android guy, not those people. That is why enemies are useful. They draw our outline for free. When they look foolish, I feel clever. When their side loses, my reality feels verified. Cheap, addictive, and dangerously close to thinking, but it is not always independent thinking. Sometimes it is self-protection wearing glasses. Layer 2. Group identity. In 1971, Henry Tajfel and his colleagues asked, how little does it take to create us and them? The answer was almost nothing. In the minimal group experiments, boys were split by the thinnest labels imaginable. You overestimated dots on the board. You underestimated. You were more accurate. You were less accurate. You liked Klee. You liked Kandinsky. No shared history. No real conflict. Just a label. And still, when allocating rewards, many favored their own group. That is the core of social identity theory. The group does not stay outside you. It becomes part of you. Then criticism of the group feels like criticism of the self. That is why debates turn personal. Your argument is weak starts to sound like you are weak. This side is wrong starts to sound like people like you are wrong. A person becomes a jersey with legs. When the brain feels attacked, it becomes protective, not curious. Truth stops being the main character. The team takes the role. This is the illusion again. You think you are weighing evidence, but your nervous system may be guarding the logo on your chest. Layer 3. Cognitive distance. Sheriff and Hovland's social judgment theory explain this layer. We hear new ideas from where we already stand. Each person has an anchor point, the belief they already hold. Around it are 3 zones: acceptance, non-commitment, and rejection. Ideas close enough feel reasonable. Middle ideas feel uncertain. Ideas too far away feel wrong before we even think them through. So when someone presents a new argument, the mind does not always ask, is this true? It asks faster questions. Is this close to me? Is this one of us? Does this sound like the enemy? That is why the same argument can sound balanced on your side and insane from the other side. Distance is measured before logic gets invited. This is how disagreement becomes a moral emergency. Someone says, maybe your side is missing something. Your brain hears, everything you believe is fake, and your personality needs a factory recall. Independent thinking would ask, what is the claim? Tribal thinking asks, how far is this from my anchor? Layer 4. Modern amplifiers. Social media and AI did not invent tribal thinking. They gave it better distribution. Start with social media. It learns where your anchor is, then keeps you close to it. Not trapped exactly, more like comfortably surrounded. You see more of what already feels right. You hear less of what feels uncomfortable. Slowly, your side becomes common sense, and the other side becomes a meme with bad lighting. A careful explanation says, there are multiple causes. A viral post says, these people are destroying everything. One is probably more accurate. The other gets screenshots, reaction videos, and a comment section that needs adult supervision. Now add AI. AI can be useful, but it can also make the echo chamber feel intelligent, polishing your old opinion until it sounds like it has a master's degree. Ask, why am I right? And it gives you a beautiful answer. Ask, why are they wrong? And it builds a bullet point legal case. That is not always thinking. Sometimes it is just outsourcing confidence. The modern trap is not only that we pick sides, it is that our tools can make our side feel researched and rational, even when we are asking the mirror to talk back. So when identity, group loyalty, cognitive anchors, platforms, and AI all pull in the same direction, what do we lose? The first casualty is correction. Healthy thinking lets facts update beliefs. Team thinking makes the belief audit the fact. It asks, does this help us win? If yes, evidence. If no, propaganda. If our side does it, context matters. If their side does it, character revealed, convenient, poisonous. The mind is no longer searching. It is doing public relations for the tribe. The second cost is that people become labels. You stop asking what happened to them. You only ask which side they belong to. Then every detail becomes evidence. A joke, a pause, a mistake, even silence. Once someone becomes a label, you do not have to understand them. You only have to defeat them. The final cost is shared reality. Each camp gets its own facts, media, influencers, and AI explanation machine. Conversation stops being a path toward truth and becomes a fight over whose reality gets the official stamp. At that point, people do not just disagree about solutions, they disagree about the world they live in. So, how do we step out of this illusion? We cannot delete our need for identity, belonging, or certainty, but we can change the way we hold our beliefs. Rule 1. Keep positions, but do not turn them into tattoos. Having a position is fine. Neutrality is not always wisdom. Sometimes it is fear in a nice coat, but a position should be a tool, not an identity. Say, this is what I think right now, not this is who I am forever. Leave yourself an exit door. When anger gets personal, ask, am I checking a fact or protecting my image? Then ask, what evidence would change my mind? If the answer is nothing, that is not a belief. That is armor. Rule 2. Stop turning every issue into a loyalty test. Some questions need a chair, not a boxing ring. Before dunking on the other side, state their strongest argument in a way they would recognize. Not the cartoon version, the strongest version. Otherwise, you may just be punching a scarecrow and calling it critical thinking. Rule 3. Use AI against your own certainty. Do not only ask it to prove you right. Ask, what am I missing? What is the strongest objection? Where could my side be exaggerating? That is a better use of AI, not as a confidence machine, but as a friction machine. Certainty without friction becomes propaganda with better grammar. And socially, reward fewer humiliation games. The internet trains us to clap when someone gets destroyed. Destruction is not understanding. Sometimes the smartest person in the room is not the one with the sharpest comeback. It is the one who can say, wait, this is more complicated than I thought. Finally, let's return to the beginning. Messi or Ronaldo? LeBron or Curry? iPhone or Android? AI savior or AI apocalypse? The object changes. The pattern repeats. A preference becomes a side. A side becomes an identity. An identity creates an enemy. Then we call it having an opinion. We pick sides because sides feel safe. They turn fog into walls. They turn anxiety into a uniform. For a while, it feels like strength. You know where to stand, and who stands with you. Then, the price arrives quietly. You hear truth less clearly, see people smaller, and update yourself slower. The question is not whether you should stand somewhere. You should. The question is whether your position still has doors and windows. Can new evidence get in? Can old beliefs get out? Can you criticize your own side without feeling like a traitor? Because one day, truth may stand on the other side, and if your identity is too armored, you will not recognize it. You will just call it the enemy.